Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Monday Night Live. Marshall's excited to say hello to everyone. I would like... Oh, bless. He's so cute, isn't he? Drop in the comments and let me know where you're tuning in from. I want to know who's live. We've got a pretty action-packed episode of Monday Night Live for you tonight. Marshall wants to get down. He's a bit shy of the spotlight, young Marshall. Now, I am very fortunate to have a few people in my network who I really enjoy hanging out with, and Joris Cuesta, cool, I probably pronounced that wrong, I'm sure he's going to correct me in a minute, the plateau hacker, we've been friends for a long time. He was the MC of LinkedIn versus Instagram in Sydney. Phenomenal speaker, got a lot, and when I say a lot, I mean a lot of energy. He's got a fantastic reputation in his industry. So without further ado, please give a warm Monday night welcome to my mate, Joris. Joris, welcome.
Hello. How are you? Thank you for that. That was a crack of an intro.
Well,
hi, everyone.
Joris, when you're in an elevator at the JW Marriott Sydney and somebody says to you, what do you do? What do you normally answer with?
I'll just say it. Clients call me the plateau hacker. And usually they look back and they ask for more, which is, the trick to it, basically. But yeah, no, I'll just tell them, I'm like a Formula One, like a pit stop, you come in, all the leaders come and see me, and I'll just look at them, trim the fat, take the excess off, and look at the engine and make sure, like, whoever you are, I'll meet you here and I'll leave you there. So whether team or individual, I'll take people where they're at and I help them reach the next level.
Joris, could you give us a bit of detail on your background and how you ended up in this role?
Yes. How much background do you want? A little bit more? The fun, the in-between?
You can talk as long as you want, as for whatever you like. The floor's yours.
So thank you. You may hear, it's quite late in the day, you may hear a slight accent. I was born in the south of France, and I moved quite young to Australia to further my studies. And then I just fell in love with the country. So obviously I stayed here, started working in, public relation and business management into a few large corporate and big organizations. And then I was really lucky enough to got a really cool gig into an entrepreneurial-based company where I was working with one of the high profile in the country, Jack Delosa, and worked on his brand, worked on a few relaunch on his latest book, and I had a few business of my own. So, that seed started there and way before. And over time, sitting on leadership teams, I was always saying that, people want to do great things, but they always reached a bit of a plateau. So they had great ideas, a grand vision, but for whatever reason, with the best intention that everyone has, it was never fully fulfilled. Or other individuals or boards could be a restriction to potential you could see. So, I navigated my way through various roles, and then I got knocked on the shoulder by a really cool startup that was doing great things with China. And at the same time, someone called me out of nowhere after a conference where I was simply a participant and said, you've been recommended by a friend of mine. Could you do this contract for me? And it's one of those days where you either go, right or left. And it was a fork in the road, and I already had my own business, and I thought, I don't want to consult. I'm fine. I'm happy where I'm at. I'm enjoying this gig. And so a friend of mine, another entrepreneur, said to me, look, if you're not sure, and instead of saying no, just double the price you have in mind, and usually, you'll scale people off. So either two things. Either I really wasn't valuing myself enough.
Is that what they call the FOP? Have you heard of the FOP?
No, tell me, what is it?
The fuck off price.
Yeah, so this in my mind, this was the big FOP. Obviously not, because here I am now. So the funny bit is, it was Friday night, I had a whole week of work, and I'm working my FOP, and I press send, and I'm thinking, oh, so cool, this is, off the list. And then you get the notification about, seriously, 4 or 5 minutes And the first line is, fantastic, when can you start? And I was thinking, are you kidding me? And then the rest is history, because I started the journey, did that gig that, pushed on to a new gig. Then I joined a tribe of thought leaders and developed my IP and started with my thing. And then we met each other. And since then, been, working with really cool company, individuals, conferences, and having fun.
Joris, you have I guess I'm a bit biased as I'm your friend, but this is what I see, right? As a fact, is you have a fantastic reputation in the industry. That's what I can tell that is true. And I'm curious, from your perspective, what is it that you do differently?
All right, so I'm me, and I'm trying to be more of me, and my core value, I stick by it. So whatever I say, I do. Whatever I feel is right, I do. Whatever is not right, or I feel is not right, I do. I do speak up. So I think probably over time people really enjoy it. But I think most of all is I put my heart into things. So when I was much younger, people were saying, "Oh my God, you're wearing your heart on your sleeve," and that's not good. And sometimes it can be. But I think most of the time, if I mean, you give me 100%, and clients just love that, because for me, yes, we've agreed on an engagement, on a price point, but for me, it's more the outcome. What does success look like to you, for you? What I'm here to do, and let's go for it. Let's achieve that. So I think at the end of the day, that's what gets everyone kicking.
Yeah, I certainly found that with LinkedIn versus Instagram. If I remember correctly, you were a late addition. We had someone from Perth, we had someone from Melbourne. We're like, who are we going to get for Sydney? And I was like, oh, I know this guy. and you did. You brought 100% to it, and of a few days' notice, and it was outstanding. Yeah, it was really outstanding.
Thank you.
It was obvious you put a lot of preparation in, we'd love to have you involved in the next one. We've got some big plans.
Next one. Really?
Big plans for next year.
This is a deal. Yes, that's gonna be fun. When is the next one coming in? Spill the beans.
Well, I don't know if I'm allowed to say, but I've only just got off the phone with my arch nemesis Brooke Valinovich, and we're looking at some dates for next year. So.
Okay, well, that's exciting. Well, I'll be there, let me early enough, so I'm not, I don't have anything on, but I'll clear the schedule and I'll come and play 100%. Yes.
Joris, I want to shift gears just for a minute.
Yes.
And talk about the events of 2020. Obviously, it's been an unpredictable year. It's affected people in all different kinds of ways. I'm curious, has it affected your business, and how have you adapted to accommodate that impact? I'm just curious to hear your thoughts on 2020 and also, not only just how it's impacted your business, but also impacted the challenges that your clients may be facing.
Yeah, look, again, me being me, if anyone out there, anyone watching, if anyone says to you, oh no, 2020 hasn't impacted my business, I will say BS, biggest BS, because whether it's in one way or the other, everyone has been impacted to some extent. So Story is one of my clients, Teachers Mutual Bank, is actually looking after the essential services workers. And so, very timely. We were doing quite a big piece of work. And on the Tuesday, I had a workshop at the HQ on Wednesday. And on the Tuesday, they called me at 2 p.m. saying, we're very sorry, we have to cancel tomorrow's work on site. Can you shift to remote and can we do it remote? And I was already doing something else at the time. I received the email and I'm thinking, what do we do? So in terms of having to think quick on your feet, I had about, a couple of hours to get sorted, which we did. And thanks to, Zoom and a lot of technology, but it was the early premises of what we could do. So that was the first haha moment about, okay, lucky enough, I know the entire team, but we have to shift and move online no matter what, because it's already an existing client. You can't say, oh, I'll see you after whatever that is that's coming our way. So that was the first impact. But if you go throughout, basically for all my clients, it was about, working from home. What did that look like? Resilience was a big piece of work where people felt a bit demoralized, not knowing what the future would look like and not knowing how long they would be home. So at first, everyone was excited. Everyone saw it like an opportunity to either slack off or work in their PJ or doing brunch or lunch with friends. But I think when the reality settled in, a lot of people were, found it quite hard. And for me, for the business, as you asked, it was like a tornado. Suddenly, all the conferences gone cancelled. Because at first, even if now some of them are coming back online, like we were speaking before, the first reaction of everyone was we're pulling off all the event for the next 90 days. So the schedule from a business perspective got wiped out of all the face-to-face engagement and then retain all the existing clients. And then it was, what do we do there? So I looked at the business and I've launched an online platform with a few courses that I have for organization, but for individuals. And that's been really, really well received. And I think it's about, as you were saying, what is your reputation? How engaging can you be? What do you believe in? What should the online look like for you? What does your service should look like? And who's the target you best serve? And who are those people? And how can you best serve them? So all those were the questions, going in my mind at, 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock, and thinking, how does this work? And where can I get help? And then you try to order, new big screens and new light, and there's nothing in the country.
Yeah,
I mean, I literally, I don't know how it was for you, but I literally at the beginning found myself going to even Officeworks, and there was a poor pallet left in the middle with some very small, I think, I don't know, it was 12-inch screen, like really, really tiny for what I wanted to do. And I was like, what do we do? And it said, oh, go to other stores. And all the others were like, we don't have anything. We're waiting. So I think crazy time, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't watch the news.
Good.
I've tuned in a couple times in the last 6 months, but so I heard about this COVID thing, and I was like, oh, I'm pretty healthy, I should be all right. And then I had a housewarming in my new apartment, and all my family's coming over. And then the day of the housewarming, I get a call from my grandparents. Sorry, we can't come because of the coronavirus. I'm like, okay, they're elderly.
Yeah.
And my mum cancels. Then my sister cancels, who's just had a newborn baby. Doesn't want the baby, And so no one was going to my housewarming. And then I turned on the news, and it just hit me all at once. I was like, what's happening? And then it was like, you talk about midnight, 1 a.m. It was one of those nights where I was like on my own. I should have been doing a housewarming, and I was like, what am I going to do with this coronavirus thing? And I come across Dr. John DeMartini on Facebook.
Yeah.
And he's got this video, and he says, get a sheet of paper, and he says, right at the top, how is what's happening at the moment positively impacting me specifically? And I'm like, I can read these books I've been wanting to read. I can get fit. I can do this and do that.
How much do you do?
All of it.
How much of all of that? Oh, do you? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I won't get my rig out, but no, but I've built an online e-commerce store. I've been going to the gym almost every day. I bought a dog.
Yes, Marshy, where is he?
He's running around, probably chewing stuff. But all this stuff come from COVID. So, obviously tragic situation, but focusing my energy on where I can make the best from it. My e-commerce store should be ready in a month or so, nathanielbibby.com. It'll have all virtual products, virtual events,
nice.
which I never would have done before. Let's give a shout out to some of these guys that are tuning in. Just want to give these guys some love. Amelia in Perth, welcome. And we've got Amber in Cape Town.
Ooh, Cape Town, hello.
Oh, royalty. Caddy Princess Sleeman from the Broadbeach Gold Coast tuning in on LinkedIn. We've got somebody here from Pakistan. Welcome, Shahid Aziz. And Janine Milner. I love working online and working anywhere. The emoji queen. We got Amber again, who's a fan of the FOP.
Yes, that's a new one.
I hope I haven't got any near clients that got the FOP tuning in tonight, but
no, it's fine. And Lauren saying, what is she?
Lorraine, nice seating, guys.
Great sharing.
I think that, she's talking about the conversation, not my seedy mustache, so that's good.
Yes.
Amber, we will definitely keep you informed. As soon as I have more information, we'll announce it. My gorgeous mother, always my number one fan. Thank
Hello,
you so
Michelle.
much for
Nice to
tuning
meet you.
in. And Pal is here, loving the energy here today. Well, I knew that Joris would bring the energy. Great shares on benefits from chaos. Yeah.
Yes. No,
Okay.
there's plenty.
I've just looked over the camera, and Marshall's doing a pee on my wooden floor. On you, mate.
Oh.
We'll have a talk about that after Monday Night Live, buddy.
Well, for his 18th birthday, you can tell him, you're very famous, you're naughty, all the details got shared with the world.
I almost turned the camera around, but I thought I'll save him the embarrassment.
No, don't. Save us all, please. No.
So, Joris, we've talked about the impact this year's had. What are your plans for next year? What are you excited about at the moment?
Oh, well, there's plenty. So I usually like to do one big project per year. So this year I started writing, but I stopped, and then I set up the whole Plateau Hacker online academy. So that's done. But it's so people reach out and I do that. It's not live to the world, so to say, yet. Then the next big project is actually a book. So I don't know if I should say that now, because I'm sure people would say, you did say it on Monday Night Live, where's the book? So as a follow-up from, all the course and all that, it's a book on helping leaders and individuals, going from where they are to the next level. So it's really for anyone that feels stuck, isolated, with no real way forward. And that can happen for various reasons. So it's really about going through the steps of identifying where you're at, whether professionally or personally, or if you're your own entrepreneur in your own business, and try to dust off your own internal compass, just because I do really feel that nowadays, and you mentioned, rightfully so, about the news. If you listen to the news, if you listen to everyone around, there is a lot of noise. And the noise is actually just, all that dust that comes and settle like on old furniture. Not that we are old furnitures, but I think we're the byproducts or the product of our environment, and we have to be really, really extremely conscious about what we take on and in. And that has a clear impact, which I've seen for years now, with leaders and entrepreneurs, about the way they move forward, about the way they feel paralyzed, about the way they want to wait and see. So COVID was a perfect example. Some people just, charge forward. Some people just waited for 30 days, 60 days. Some people got lost and desperate, thinking that's it, it's the end, there's nothing I can do. And some had some silver lining. So the book is a big piece for next year, so we'll see.
And are you planning to self-publish?
It's quite an interesting question, actually. So yes and no. And there's some pro and some cons to that. So self-publish could be, it's easy. You can do it relatively quickly, and it's, not that costly. I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so I might go the published way. But the long-term release scenario, and the main reason why I will go with a publishing house is for the US market. So part of the expansion is to do way more and more work with the US and New York and Chicago. And in the US, it's highly regarded for someone that gets signed with the house, because a lot of people can self-publish. So we'll see. If it's just for here and now and do a small version and get it out and added value for the market, I'll do it on my own, because the, con of the self-published, it's, 8 to 12 months work, because it takes time to go through all the hoops. So we'll see.
It's interesting that you say you're a perfectionist. I have quite a few guests bring that up. Entrepreneurs who are perfectionists, and it's something they normally have this like love-hate relationship with. Do you find that that's true for you, or?
Yeah, I've got no longer than last week. So I have, so I usually pick a word for a quarter or 6 months, half a year, or a whole year, and that word
Okay.
that really treasure and cherish. And the idea is about what is the focus. So it could be about being visible, it could be about building, so whatever the word that resonates, or it could be a sentence. And I'll share with you, about 2 weeks ago I had enough of doing, checking, rechecking, and I was working on a LinkedIn mini series which I talked to you about, and it was about the launch, and everything was ready, but I was thinking, oh, shall I wait after Christmas? Is it ready enough? What about the writing? What about this? What about that? And I had a moment where I said, well, F it, let's do it. Because I waited enough, and it's written, really big in my office, and F it, let's do it. And every time I second guess myself and think, oh, shall I do this? Shall I do that? I'll just use that. And hence I've launched the LinkedIn mini series I've started doing more things. You've called me for Monday Night Live, I would have been like, oh, I don't know if I'm ready. Maybe in a month, I've got things going on. I don't know. Like, you know what? I've got a busy day. I've got other things, but F it, let's do it. So Natch is on. So that's my new motto. But love and hate, definitely.
Yeah, Joris asked me last week. He said, well, what are sort of things are the people going to be interested in on Monday Night Live? I said, just bring a lot of energy. He goes, oh, there'll be plenty of that. Don't worry about that.
Definitely.
Welcome, Michael. Michael Flavel's just tuned in.
Hello, Michael.
Lorraine, big questions coming out. Would you say perfectionism is around fear of failing?
Okay, so I mean, for some people it might be, but everyone's different. And for myself, I think it goes way deeper than that. But it's also around it's love and hate relationship with what could happen next to that fear. So what about if suddenly everything goes really, really, really well, and would I have enough time? And it's also about is it ready for me to claim? So not of failure, but a little bit of the light and how other could perceive it, or but I think we play with it more and more as we grow in our career. But at the very beginning, Lorraine, 100% at the very beginning, of course, you're always like, what would happen? And my first massive engagement was the biggest failure in some respect that you could ever think about, but I put through and I'm here, and it's really interesting, the concept of fear of failure.
When you start a business, you want everything to be perfect, and you soon learn that that's not realistic. But I think being aware and just having attention to detail, so you don't make the same mistake twice, just leads to a good operator. I think you got to have that balance, but competence builds confidence, right? I don't know if you. I don't know where that saying came from, but the more mistakes you make, the more comfortable you are in the uncertainty. And
some people are really good at keep making the same mistakes. I mean, I work with leaders every day or entrepreneurs, and they just it's the story, the energy of life, presenting themselves with same situation, disguised in different ways, but they make the same mistakes. But I think again, it's about for everyone that has something, whether it's a product or a service or an attitude or way of being, is who are you to rob others from the very unique gift you have? And that's what I tell everyone. You are no one to decide that no one else could have access to who you are. So go for it.
Joris, why are you passionate about what you do? How would you answer that question?
Well, I think working in corporate for a fair bit of time and seeing how people become individuals, how affected they can be around others by either a brand that goes nowhere and it has no clear North Star or guideline, but more so by bad leaders and bad leadership. I think that really, really touched me deeply because, life isn't easy and we have good days and bad days. And so people are more prone to be, more demotivated than others. And I think I've seen too many times very young leaders starting that have actually literally got the grass cut under their feet. And the impact on those individuals was huge. So I've always had that concept about bettering, lifting, but I was focusing on businesses before, working in business, doing that in the leadership team. And at times I wasn't an amazing leader. There's been time where I often say, do you know the movie, The Devil Wears Prada? Have you seen that movie?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yep.
We'll ask a few people in the chat if anyone's seen The Devil Wears Prada, so they can answer. We'll see. And also, which one of the character or actors was actually not the nicest, so to speak. And to some extent, at times, when I was much younger, in a different life, I was Meryl Streep. I was the guy saying, "Thank you for coming." Where why this not done? Or I wasn't really the nicest of all at times, just because I was trying to please and take too much on. And what's interesting is then when I developed and moved further away from who I was before, and forgot about again when I was saying all the dust, the environment, the P&L and performing and always being go in the rat race, I realized that you could achieve as much but being who I was even more. And that's when I started to have that energy, that light. And it was a very different way to approach leadership. And it was a very different way to approach human beings. And I thought that if I could do some work and share my learnings and get better, that's where everything unraveled. And I think 2.5 years ago, I even got into Stanford University and just to do, a postgrad in that sense about, how do you foster entrepreneurship and great leadership into medium to large scale businesses? Because it's often easier in a very small structure, but how do you do that in a big one? So, and then I decided to jump in, as you say, remember the FOP it was, that fell flat. And that was the beginning of all.
And what makes a good leader, do you think?
Look, most importantly, leaders need to go first. And I think we forget that. It's about going first, but it's about putting, people first as well. And in current times, I think a lot of leaders are a bit lost, because I remember a lot of my, mentees, you had zero choice about COVID-19. Any leaders I work with or any team that says, "Oh, we killed 2020," and I say, or we killed working at home, and I say, it wasn't a choice. The real test is coming up. So all the leaders now are actually at home or, moving out of home and coming back into the workplace. And now it's the time for leaders, for entrepreneurs, for, human beings to decide, how do I want to walk into 2021? What would I've learned from 2020? What do I want to do differently? And then I'll be saying, okay, now show me the leader you're becoming. Show the path to others. That's what I believe is a great leader. Obviously, there's capabilities, but you wouldn't be a leader, you wouldn't be hired if you didn't have the capabilities. EQ, IQ, all that now, unfortunately, it's part and parcel. It's part of what you need to have in your toolbox in order to be a leader. But really, showing the way, leading, inspiring your team, mobilizing people, but also believing and nurturing the ground for all that next generation and level of leadership to rise up and learn along the way.
Yeah, I guess that's where leading by example comes from. You've got to go first in the first place, haven't you? Yeah,
definitely.
Well, we're getting to the half an hour mark, Joris. If there was a question that I should have asked you that I didn't ask you, what would that be?
Oh, I don't know. What would you? Let's ask you. Is anyone having a question? Lorraine, love that. Begin with leading yourself first. Yes. Well, the question would be about, what would you do when you go to bed or when you wake up?
Tell us. I love it. I didn't have the balls to ask it. I've been thinking about it all night.
I think it's always about looking, and I'm only asking that because I shared that with my grandma, and she actually called me the other day. She had a very tough time, and she said, "I remember what you told me. Always have positive thought, be grateful, and think of the really positive thing that happened on that day." And she said, "And then I have a beautiful night. And when I wake up, I wake up with a good feeling." So I said, wherever you are in the world, whether, you had a good day or a bad day, or I hope we, helped you having a good evening or a morning, but make sure that you always go to bed thinking, you know what, amongst all this madness, there's one thing I can be grateful and really happy for and with, and something I can bring on into tomorrow.
That's awesome. Fantastic. So your grandma is one of your clients by the sounds of things.
Well, it's she lives on the other side of the world. She isn't, but we have developed a really fun, relationship, and it's quite. I got really shocked when she told me that.
Will she be tuning in to the replay?
Well, I've actually sent the link to a couple of the family members, so she probably will be having a sneak peek, not understanding anything, but she'll be looking at the image and probably being very, very, very happy about that. But,
Well, shout out to Joris's grandma. Yeah, if you're watching.
Merci. And anyone actually, Nat, if anyone is interested, if you go onto the website, joris.com, joriscuesta.com, actually there is a test for leaders there, a leadership test, a quiz to find out your famous leadership. So wherever you are, do it, and there'll a few information there, which are cool.
Yeah, and don't forget to follow Joris Cuesta on LinkedIn and Instagram. Is the Instagram handle just your name, Joris?
Yes, the name with, I think there's a underscore in between Joris and Cuesta, but Nathaniel and I are friends on LinkedIn. So if you guys are friends, you can reach out, ask some question. Say hi if you see me virtually or in the street. I don't bite. Keep smiling most of the time.
Oh, I've got to hold you a couple more minutes, Joris. My mum's asked a question and she'll give me a hard time if I don't ask it.
Oh, good, Michel. Okay, my first failure. Cool. I'll share one which is probably of interest with people in the chat. So first failure in this world, so to say, of being a consultant and a thought leader. I was hired for quite a large conference, and I came in just thinking of how much I could bring in. And because I'm a perfectionist, like Nat was saying, I came in really red hot. And I triggered probably a third of the room and the wrong third of the room. So that was a fail. I triggered all the exec team, all the C-suites. And what I learned from that is you can be yourself, but always know whoever you're meeting and only be 2 or 3 steps ahead. Because it's for people to learn and to come on the journey, they have to see the path and follow you. But if you're too far ahead in advance, you break relationship, you break friendship. So I think what I've learned most into setting expectation of what you want out of life or friendship or work. Don't give you 100% because not everyone is ready to get your 100%. That's it.
It makes sense. And what's a plateau hacker in your own words?
For me, it's really, how can you hack any plateau, any roadblock, any, obstacle you just found on your way in your life, whether it's professional or personal.
Yeah, good answer. Love it. Thanks so much for joining us, Joris. For everybody watching, let us know what you thought in the comments. I'm sure Joris will be monitoring the chats on LinkedIn and YouTube, so he'll be able to respond to any of your questions. Kick some ass this week, ladies and gentlemen. It's another week, another opportunity. Have a great week in business. That's all from us.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great book.